But yeah, the point is that, guys, 600 of our colleagues in America signed an open letter saying Black careers matter. They're struggling, okay, under the Black Lives Matter hashtag. And I'm saying we're showing them support and we're showing them solidarity. But here in South Africa, we've got the same problem, exacerbated, to be perfectly honest, exacerbated in a way that the charter has been created, but the charter hasn't been implemented with the intent that it was created. You know, if you read the preamble of the charter, it gives me goosebumps to think what Tatu Nkwenkwe wrote. And it was something that I so subscribed to. But when you see how people have gone and created these trusts and schemes and gone to investors and you know, sold off parts of their companies at premium prices in order to justify the dilution of their equity, it makes me sad, because I'm thinking that's not what we intended. That's not what we intended. We intended to be for the people, by the people.
And what does it say? Because what I usually say about laws is the consequence. You know, if you break a law, you have a consequence. Now, for the MAC Charter and transformation laws, what would you say is the consequence of not transforming?
Well, here's a clanger, okay? The deadline for meeting the minimum objectives of the charter was, hope everybody's sitting down, 2018. My question to government and to the ACA is, where is the Charter Council who are supposed to be policing this? Why are we applauding companies in 2020 who announced that they are now 51% Black owned? Give me a break. They were supposed to be there 2 years ago. Where is the consequence for the other companies that in 2020 are still not at the minimum requirements, but are getting level 1 certificates? How is that being policed? How is that being looked at? Where is the accountability? 2020, guys.
And what was the consequence? What was the consequence? Because I mean, it seems like, you know, the charter had a certain intention, and in 2020 still not achieved. If you had to rewind and be back on the seat at ACA, what would you do to make sure that there's consequence to not transforming? And what we agreed on, you say 2018, it was some of the things were supposed to. What was supposed to happen in 2018?
So 2016, the charter was promulgated. Agencies were given 2 years to get their house in order. By 31 March 2018, agencies were supposed to have had their houses in order. Now, in 2020, we have announcements that people have their houses in order. And I'm saying, Batum, you were supposed to have your house in order 2 years ago. We were supposed to be thriving now and not having this conversation. Why am I having this conversation in 2020 about Black careers matter? Black careers mattered in 1998 when CAFE went to Parliament to say, government, we want the ad industry in South Africa to change. And in 2000, the preamble to the charter was written and signed by every agency in this country. 20 years later, guys, 20 years later, okay? And nothing has changed fundamentally. That's a problem. If I was still at the ACA, you asked me what would I have been doing? I would have been wearing those carpets, thin mask, gloves, sanitizer, and all, and asking them, where are the people who need to sign off this Charter Council to put it in place. I would have been at the BEE Commission to say, hey, where are you guys? This charter was written into law. It was promulgated under Section 9(1) of the BEE Act. And the companies who are bound by this charter by law were required to have met their targets by 2018. And I know for a fact that there are companies that are participating and trading in this industry who have not met the minimum criteria. Let's not even talk about like transformed. I'm talking about minimum criteria. Okay?
Wow.
Who's checking how these certificates are being issued? I've seen companies get a level 1 that makes me sit and wonder, but how are they doing that?
Ganjan.
Batum. You know, I must stop saying that word. I'm like,
it's true.
Know, my 2 words, if it's not Batum, because I'm like totally confused, then it's Hey Batum. How?
It's true. It's true. So there's been no consequence for people that sat and signed a pact, so that basically those agreements have kind of been broken then.
The agreements were a philosophical idea of a fairy tale to come in 2000. In 2018, it was, guys, this is it. Happy ever after. In 2020, we got a horror story going on. You know?
Wow.
And I'm like, okay, so where did that philosophical dream, the happy ever after, go to when we've got a horror story going on? Okay? And let's call out a couple of things. Number one, transformation is not about white people giving up their jobs, their careers, their equity.
Yes.
Transformation is about everybody having access to opportunity. So I remember addressing, when I started at a large multinational and addressing the staff, and they asked me obviously about transformation because they were petrified. And I said, so here's the thing, white people, black people, all people.
Yep.
Your job is temporary. The seat you occupy in this company is and should be a temporary seat. Do not get comfortable. Everybody choose a mentee and a mentor. Because everybody should be moving up the ladder. Those who need to get skills development need to be skills developed. So you who have the skills, stop calling all the dark people dumb. Okay? Teach them if you think they are dumb, so that they can have the understanding and the knowledge that you have, so that you don't have that perception anymore. Black people, my brothers and sisters, be comfortable getting direction, being taught. Know that some of our white colleagues have been doing this a hell of a lot longer than we have. Okay, they know a little bit more than what we do. Okay, so make your brain a sponge. Take in all the information so that you know everything that that person knows and more, to justify your transition up the ladder, right? It's not enough to just be black.
Wow. And you know, and what I've seen and what I try to tell a lot of my friends in the industry, because I think because we've been talking about it for so long, it seems like every time you talk about it, you can get angry, and I think that's not the solution. What would you say? I mean, if you were to advise white-owned agencies that have broken the code, that have broken their agreement, in a very, because I do think it's also a collective direction that we all need to take as an industry. What would you advise? I mean, if you had to sit across someone who was supposed to meet basic requirements in 2018, it's now 2020, you're sitting over lunch, what would you say to that person?
I'd say to that person, let's have the conversations that happen around the braai in the boardroom. Because addressing that which you don't know and don't understand brings wisdom. Okay? And one of the things people don't know and understand is how blacks perceive privilege and how whites perceive privilege. Otherwise, if everybody understood each other from their perspectives, we wouldn't be having the debates around privilege. Okay, we would be at a mutual understanding of what privilege actually is, and then the understanding of what equal opportunity is. Okay, but I mean, I spoke to an agency owner, a white agency owner, who said that you know, they started out, they had to bond their home in Parkhurst. You know, they went out, taught their domestic worker how to answer the phone, and went to Incredible Connection, bought a couple of MacBooks, and went knocking on doors for a whole year. They didn't earn a cent. They worked so damn hard to build their company to what it is today. So how can I say that they were privileged?
Yep.
When that was blood, sweat, and tears. What they did not understand is, hello, they had a house to bond. They had an asset, okay, that the bank saw as worthy of giving them debt. They could go and buy two Macs. How much is a Mac? 40, 50 grand? Okay,
yep.
Two of them.
Yep.
That's why I want to say Batum. They had cars to drive up and down to meetings. And for a year, they could survive without earning an income. Now, let's take Uveli from Soweto, who has to catch a taxi, who does not have a house, who's living in his auntie's house because he was born in the rural areas and sent to the auntie here because this is where he was going to get educated, okay?
Wow.
Who doesn't have access to all of those things, but has the talent, has the will, has the desire, is a good entrepreneur. Does he have the same chance of success? No. He has to become an employee.
Wow.
Right? That's what privilege is. It's not how hard you worked.
Wow.
It's about what you had to begin with at the starting line. And until we understand that all people are still not equal, because the starting line for some is not the same as the starting line for others.
Wow.
Right? We can't get to start talking about equity and equality and why there needs to be the leveling of the playing field.
Wow. Wow.
And if you can't get to that understanding, where are we going to talk transformation now, guys? And adherence to the charter and the regulations and. Huh?
Wow. That's profound. That's profound. That's sheesh. People are even saying preach. I feel like there's a lot more to talk about when it comes to transformation. I think there's a lot more consequences that need to happen. Now, you ran the ACA for quite some time. What would you say is your legacy there? You know, when you look back, what would you say is your legacy in that organization?
My legacy is that the charter was written into law.
Okay.
And through the Apex Awards, I implemented a bursary system that enabled agencies to start executing their transformation strategy in the way that the charter intended, by giving the kid a bursary, then an internship, making them employees, and then continuing with skills development. I personally still mentor a lot of the Apex bursary recipients, and that will be my legacy. My legacy is that I made a meaningful contribution to transformation, but it was not enough.